Welcome back again to our deep dive, where we help you explore and understand businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into Hims and Hers Health,
Yeah.
a company that's been making a splash in the telehealth world.
Yeah, they've been around for a little bit now, and they're really starting to make some noise.
We've got analyst reports and company info to help us understand what's driving their success, and maybe more importantly, what challenges they're facing.
Sounds good. I'm excited to dive in.
So what I think is so interesting about this company is that they're tapping into this growing trend
Right.
where people are becoming more and more comfortable managing their health online.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely the way things are going.
So they're not just offering a service, they're really riding a wave here.
Yeah.
So for those who haven't encountered them yet, what exactly does Hims and Hers offer?
Well, you can think of them as like a digital front door to a variety of health and wellness products and services,
Yep.
all available online or through their mobile app. Yeah, very convenient.
So they offer everything from prescription medications
Yep.
for things like hair loss and skincare
Yeah.
to over-the-counter products, cosmetics, even supplements.
That's right. They really run the gamut.
It's really interesting how they've managed to go from a startup in 2017 to a publicly traded company with over 1,000 employees
Mm-hmm.
in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
They're listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol HIMSS, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
for anyone who wants to look them up.
Yeah, definitely check them out.
But that rapid growth has come with its share of ups and downs, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, on the one hand, you see this incredible revenue growth.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking almost doubling their revenue from 2022 to 2023.
It's amazing.
And analysts are predicting this upward trend to continue,
Right.
with some forecasts suggesting they could hit a staggering $2.1 billion in revenue by the end of 2025.
Yeah, it's definitely a company to watch.
Okay, so that all sounds incredibly positive.
Mm-hmm.
But you said on the one hand,
Right.
what's the other and what's the catch?
Well, there has been some recent turbulence.
Oh.
Their stock price took a pretty significant hit on February 21st of this year,
Really?
dropping by over 25%.
Ouch, that's a big drop.
It is.
What happened? Did something change about the company's outlook?
Well, there are a few factors at play.
Okay.
Some analysts downgraded their ratings on the company.
Okay.
For instance, Craig Hettenbach from Morgan Stanley
Yeah.
changed his rating from a buy to a hold,
Interesting.
citing concerns about increasing competition in the telehealth space.
So is this a case of investors getting spooked? Or are there some real fundamental concerns about Hims and Hers' ability to compete?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think to get a clearer picture, we need to take a closer look at their financials.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Where should we start? What numbers should we be paying attention to?
Well, their price-to-earnings ratio, or PE ratio,
Okay.
currently sits at 90.31
Okay.
for the fiscal year 2024. This is a pretty high number,
Yeah.
suggesting that investors are still quite optimistic about the company's future earnings potential,
Even with that stock drop.
even with the recent stock drop.
Wow. Okay, so high expectations then?
Yeah,
But a bit of a reality check with the stock price?
right.
Are they actually making money, though?
Well, that's the interesting part.
Okay.
While their revenue is growing rapidly,
Uh-huh.
they're still operating at a loss.
So even with all this growth and investor optimism,
Mm-hmm.
they haven't been able to turn a profit yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
But it's important to note that analysts are forecasting that their earnings per share, or EPS,
Okay.
will turn positive this year, reaching $0.55 for 2024.
Okay, so there's a chance they could become profitable soon,
Right.
which would certainly be good news for investors.
Absolutely.
But what about their debt situation? Are they racking up a lot of debt to fuel this growth?
Actually, their debt-to-equity ratio is very low,
Okay.
currently at 0.03.
All right.
This tells us that Hims and Hers is not heavily reliant on borrowed money. Okay.
Which is generally a positive sign.
That is a good sign.
Yeah.
It suggests they're managing their finances responsibly,
Mm-hmm.
at least in terms of debt.
At least in terms of debt, yeah.
Anything else we should know about their financial standing before we look at what the future might hold?
One more key metric to consider is their gross margin,
Uh-huh.
which is consistently high, sitting above 80%.
Wow.
This indicates that they're effectively managing their production costs.
So they're keeping costs under control,
Yeah.
which is crucial for any business, especially one that's still aiming for profitability, right?
Precisely.
Okay, so let's recap.
Okay.
We've got this company with explosive revenue growth,
Mm-hmm.
a diverse product line that seems to be resonating with consumers,
Right.
and a stock that's experienced both soaring highs and a recent dip.
Uh-huh.
Financially, they're not profitable yet,
Right.
but they are expected to turn a profit soon, and they're not drowning in debt.
Exactly.
So the big question is, what does the future hold for Hims and Hers?
Can they maintain this impressive growth trajectory, especially as the telehealth market becomes more competitive?
That's a great question.
Let's dive into some analyst forecasts and see if we can get a better sense of what the experts are predicting.
Let's do it. When we look at analyst price targets for Hims, they're all over the map, ranging from a low of $11 to a high of $68.
Whoa, that's a pretty huge spread.
It is.
What do you think is driving that kind of disparity?
I think it suggests a lot of uncertainty about the company's future.
Okay.
Some analysts are very bullish,
Uh-huh.
believing Hims and Hers has a strong competitive position in this rapidly growing telehealth market.
Right.
Others are much more cautious,
Yeah.
worried about increasing competition and potential challenges to their profitability.
I'm guessing those concerns about competition are tied to the fact that the telehealth market is getting pretty crowded these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how can Hims and Hers stand out from the crowd?
Well, that's a key question for their future success. You know, their diverse product line, which we talked about earlier, could be a real advantage here.
I mean, wouldn't focusing on one or two key areas be a better strategy?
Not necessarily.
Uh,
Their broad portfolio allows them to cross-sell products and capture a larger share of customer spending.
okay.
For example, someone coming in for hair loss treatment might also be interested in skincare products.
Right, so it's kind of a one-stop shop approach.
Exactly. It's a one-stop shop.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
They can potentially leverage their existing customer base to grow in multiple areas.
Exactly.
And they've also been pretty successful in building brand awareness through their advertising campaigns.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, their ads are hard to miss.
Yeah, you see them everywhere.
And they've done a good job of getting their name out there.
They really have.
But brand awareness alone won't guarantee success in the long run.
Right.
What else should they be focusing on?
Well, they need to continue to innovate
Mm-hmm.
and provide high-quality products and services if they want to retain customers and attract new ones.
Makes sense.
And they also need to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technology and the user experience.
Mhm.
I mean, the telehealth space is constantly evolving,
Right.
and Hims and Hers needs to evolve with it.
So it sounds like they need to strike a balance between maintaining their current momentum
Yeah,
while also being agile enough to adapt to changes in the market.
absolutely. Their ability to do that will be key to their long-term success.
Okay, so we've looked at their company profile,
Mm-hmm.
the good and bad news surrounding their stock performance,
Right.
their financial status, and some analyst forecasts.
Mm-hmm.
What does all of this mean for someone who's considering investing in Hims and Hers?
Well, it's a bit of a gamble.
Right.
As with any investment in a high-growth company,
Sure.
there's certainly potential for big rewards,
Yeah.
but there are also risks to consider.
So what are the potential rewards that investors are betting on?
Well, primarily, it's the potential for continued rapid growth in a market that is expected to expand significantly in the coming years.
Right.
If Hims and Hers can capture a significant share of that growing market, their revenue and profitability could skyrocket.
And what about the risks? What are the potential downsides investors need to be aware of?
Probably the biggest risk is the increasing competition.
Okay.
As more players enter the telehealth space,
Yeah.
Hims and Hers could struggle to maintain its current growth rate.
Right.
There's also the risk that they won't be able to achieve sustainable profitability.
Okay.
I mean, they're operating at a loss right now,
Yeah.
and there's no guarantee that they'll be able to turn that around.
So it's not a slam dunk investment by any means.
No, it's not a sure thing.
There's potential for high rewards, but also significant risks.
Yeah, exactly.
What advice would you give someone who's considering adding Hims to their portfolio?
I would say that it's crucial to do your own research.
Right.
Understand the company's business model and assess the potential risks and rewards before making any investment decisions. Don't just rely on analyst ratings or headlines.
Right. That's good advice for any investment, really.
It is.
Don't just follow the hype. Do your own due diligence.
Exactly. It's your money.
Yep.
And you need to be comfortable with the risks involved.
So with all that said, are you personally bullish or bearish on Hims and Hers?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
I think they have a lot of things going for them. They're operating in a growing market.
Yep.
They have a strong brand,
Mm-hmm.
and they're addressing unmet needs.
Right.
But I'm also aware of the risks,
Yeah.
particularly the increasing competition and the uncertainty surrounding their path to profitability.
So it sounds like a classic high-risk, high-reward scenario.
It does.
So for investors, it comes down to their individual risk tolerance and how much they believe in the company's long-term prospects.
That's a great way to put it.
We've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from company profile to financial performance to potential risks and rewards. Is there anything else that we should touch on before we wrap things up?
I think it's worth highlighting that Hims and Hers is operating in a space that's ripe for disruption. Traditional healthcare can be slow, expensive, inconvenient,
Absolutely.
and telehealth offers a more accessible and affordable alternative for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think it's not just about convenience either.
Right.
Hims and Hers is also addressing sensitive health issues
Yeah.
that people might be hesitant to discuss with their doctor in person.
You're right. They're tackling topics like sexual health and hair loss,
Exactly.
which can be stigmatized,
Yeah.
and offering discreet and confidential solutions. It's almost like they're normalizing these conversations
Yeah.
by making it easier to seek help.
Right. And they're creating a more open and inclusive approach to healthcare.
Yeah.
And by doing so, they're not only expanding access to care, but also helping to destigmatize these issues.
So while their financial performance and stock price may be a bit volatile right now.
Their long-term prospects seem promising,
Yeah.
at least from a market perspective.
Right.
Do you think they have the potential to become the go-to platform
Ooh.
for all things health and wellness?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
They're well positioned in a rapidly growing market, and they've demonstrated an ability to adapt and innovate.
Right.
But they'll need to continue to execute their strategy effectively and navigate the challenges of a very competitive landscape.
And there's always the possibility that a new player could emerge
Oh, absolutely.
and disrupt the disruptors.
But that's the nature of innovation.
Yeah.
There's always someone waiting in the wings with a potentially better idea
Right.
or a more effective approach.
Well, I guess that's what makes this whole space so exciting.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving, and there's always something new happening.
I agree. It's a fascinating area to watch, and I'm curious to see how Hims and Hers continues to evolve in the years to come.
Me too. Hims and Hers Health is a fascinating company to watch, and we'll be keeping an eye on their progress.
Definitely.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I hope you really liked our content. Please help to like and subscribe as always.